because technical analysis is the backbone of your journey. It's just like a skills that you are acquiring to monetize. So if you ignore technical analysis, oh, I don't know what you can do. Yes. But if you want to be an independent trader who is so focused and stable and can take charge of his own destiny and his own business, then don't need to joke with technical analysis. So just like the jungle, every morning, no animal asks for permission before it run because they must eat. Right. So this morning, first I want you to also understand that you don't need to ask for permission before you learn a skill that will help you to be monetized. Neither do you need to be forced, right? Yes, this should be an inward willing action that you should make it a conscious effort to tell yourself that I'm going to deliberately learn to change my lifestyle. Yes. So let's start. Let me share my screen. And first, let me also use this opportunity to give God the glory for the good things that He has done, and also for the life of our great leader, that is Coach Musa. For some time now, we came into your inbox, or we came on the platform to inform you about the sudden event that's happened, and we seek for your support. And honestly, most of you did very well, but by God's grace, He's back, and that is, we are very grateful to God for that. So please, if you are not aware, let me use this platform or this opportunity to inform you that our Coach Musa is back and he is going to join us through these sessions so that things will be easier here for us. And then also, please, let's all check out on the timetable. If there is anything that you want to draw concern, kindly do so. But for now, that is what we have, and that is what we are going to use to ensure that it can suit everyone and then the trainers as well. So let's all follow the principles or the rules involved so that we can all be easy, we feel things easier. All right. So last 2 weeks throughout the month of January, we started technical analysis, and Coach Mo led through the session talking about introduction to technical analysis. With that, he talked about trading view, how to use the trading view, how to set up your trading view account. And after the trading view too, he also discussed with you guys on the anatomy of candlestick anatomy, right? That is candlestick patterns. So he discussed a lot of things with you guys, and yes. So after he was done, that's how we used to do it. Most of our lessons are systematic, and we teach a lot of things. Why do we teach a lot of things on the technical analysis? Because we believe we need to give a diverse skills to individuals. Though whilst we focus on structured lesson, which is going to ensure that individuals can be able to grow, we also diversify our lessons, which is also sequential. So if you are able to follow all our sessions, by the time we finish this session, sometimes it's around almost 2 months or 3 months. If you're able to follow the session thoroughly, you may be able to be a good trader yourself. If you are able to follow the session thoroughly, you may be able to be a good trader yourself. I'm using the word may because it may depend on you, or it will depend on you. So we may teach, and your responsibility is mostly to ask questions, to follow, and also ensure you've understood whatever we are teaching you. Am I clear? All right. So before I share my screen, let me know if I'm very loud and clear and you are all ready to learn with me this morning. Give me one in the chat before I start the session. Before I share my screen, let me know. Let me use that opportunity to test my mic and everything to know if you are ready to learn with me this morning. Drop one in the chat box. Drop one. If you are ready to learn with me this morning, drop one in the chat. Drop one in the chat and let me know if my audience are ready to learn with me this morning. All right, so let me see if my audience are all right. That's awesome. Good, 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 good. So now you can start. Let's go. So, technical analysis, like I said, is the backbone of trading, and with where what you guys have discussed so far with Coach Musa, Coach Mo, we can proceed with the other part of it. So we will take it from support and resistance. Today we will only introduce that part to traders and open the part of the market where insights might be given. Then we bring a session to an end. If God permits, tomorrow we'll continue. So we'll be taking it thought by thought gradually so that traders can be able to do it, understand. Okay. Now, after a trader has been able to see what we call a chart and understood the chart, mm, after a trader has been able to see a chart and have understood the chart, especially with candlesticks, the next thing that confuses every trader, mostly if you're a beginner or whatever, the next question that you keep asking yourself after seeing all the arrangements, all the patterns on the chart, the next question that mostly we ask is, how can I be able to interpret these candles? Now I know this is dodgy. I know this is harami. I know this is that. How do I interpret all these things? Now, when it comes to the use of support and resistance, one thing that every trader before support and resistance, one thing that every trader always needs to understand is about the waves of the market. The waves. And when I talk of the waves of the market, every market moves in waves. So when you see a chart, either it's like this or it's like this. It's a wave. When I say like this, I guess you know what I'm talking about. Either it is moving up, it is moving down, it's a wave. And that wave may express itself in either three forms. That is, either it may be moving upwards wave, downward wave, or it may be swinging on a sideways, which sometimes to we call it either consolidation or whatever. So when it comes to the charts, that is trading, support and resistance play a vital role in helping the traders to understand and then also making a confirmed decision in the market. So when I see traders use support and resistance to make a confirmed decision in the market, this is it. Uh, okay. So using support and resistance, one, it helps the traders to identify the structure of the market. Okay. Using support and resistance help traders to identify the structure of the market. So these are some of the reasons why we have to study support and resistance. If we are studying support and resistance, it's helped the trader to do to identify the structure of the market. And basically, when you talk of the structure of the market, that is the ability of the trader to identify and spot opportunities on either to identify the exact trend of the market, either it is what uptrend, downtrend, or sideways. So basically, when it comes to technical analysis, talk about support and resistance alone, there are about 4 or 5 structural tools which traders can study, and after studying them, it helps you to know the exact trend of a market. So mind you, support and resistance may not exactly be a confirmational tool, but it's a structured when I said it's a structured tool, it helps traders to identify the structure of the market, either it's uptrend, down, or sideways. So support and resistance is one of them. Let me give you those ones before we proceed with support and resistance itself. So basically, the structural tools are those lessons that helps the trader to build up a fundamental lessons on identifying the various trends of the market, either up, down, or sideways. And support and resistance is one of them. Demand and supply is also another one. Then we have market structure itself, that is identifying the highs, the lows, that is higher highs, higher lows, lower lows, and then lower highs. That is what we term it as the market structure. And then we also have what we call trend lines. So you can also use trend lines to identify the structure of the market, either it's uptrend, downtrend, or sideways. Then the last part of it that we can also do in our lesson is order blocks. Order blocks. All right. So when it comes to restating technical analysis, I'm cleaning it. So if in case you are writing it, when it comes to restating technical analysis and using support and resistance, the key purpose of support and resistance is to help traders identify the trends, that is the exact structure of the market, right? So that is what you need to know. Basically, when we talk of support and resistance, before we go straight to the chart, or like I said, this is just an introductory part of our lesson, right? So basically, the main purpose of studying support and resistance is to identify trends and then also help traders to identify areas where price would rise, areas where price will continue, either it is continue downwards or upwards, or areas where price will pause, right? So let's talk about support and resistance. Let me know if you are following. Let me know if you are following. Give me one in the chat if you are following. Give me one in the chat if you are following. Give me one in the chat if you're following. Give me one in the chat if you're following. Good. Very good. We can proceed. All right. That's awesome. So basically, the idea of support and resistance is just to level up traders' mindsets to understand the key zones where they will be able to spot out areas where buyers can be observed, areas where sellers can be observed. Just as like I said, in every waves market, right? So support and resistance. Basically, talk about resistance first. It's seen as a level on a price or a level on a chart where price get to its limits of rising. Okay, so I'm just using the very key let me say beginner friendly terms so that everyone can understand. So when you look at a chart, let's assume this is a chart. Let me use the candles. These are candles. Okay. Never mind my candles. They have waste issues. My candles have waste issues. So let's assume this. So basically, the idea of resistance is to just spot out the level where sellers are no longer pushing the price or are no longer pushing the price, or buyers are no longer pushing the price. So this is just that area. So if we talk about resistance, let's assume this is our resistance level. So we may term it as ceiling, a ceiling point on a chart. So looking at this area, we have this candle here. We also have this candle here. And during this zone, the price couldn't go further. Immediately the price goes further, this area becomes our new what? Resistance. That is our resistance zone. So basically, the idea of resistance is just the point, the highest point where the price couldn't go further. So where the price got resisted, it was resisted. Hmm? The price was resisted at that point. So far as the price couldn't go further, we spot those zones and we call them the resistance zone. Because sometimes you realize that the candles are coming, they continue to rise very high and nothing could stop them. So whatever the price may be, buyers are in control, sellers are in control. Since buyers are in control, sellers are in control, whoever is able to push the price down, that area, that zone, that limit is what we may term it as our resistance zone. I don't know if you get it. Do you get it? Do you get it? I'm just taking it slow. Today's session, this is just an introductory session, right? Do you get it? Let me know if you get it. Do you get it? Do you get it? I'm just taking it slow, right? Very good. So if you have if you're a beginner or if you have a downline that just activated this account has got no knowledge about trading, this lesson would really be helpful to that such a person. So please let them join. All right. Good. Good. We can proceed now. Right. So having your charts or opening your charts, sometimes the easiest thing you could see is just having understanding that the chart is a visual presentation. And with that visual presentation, when you observe the chart, when you observe the candles, which areas do you normally see that during this area the candle stick got to the highest point and it came down? Since the candle got to its highest points and it came down, I could assume this zone that it got to and it came down is the resistance area. Right. Now, talk about support. So just the opposite of what of resistance is what is support. So support zone. Now with support zone, just like how the candle got resisted, since we have the same candles, let me use this. So over here, we choose to term this zone as our resistance. Likewise, we term this zone as our support. Why? Because this is the key zone or the areas on a chart where the price couldn't go below, couldn't go further. So the support now, the resistance become our ceiling points, and then the support becomes our floor. So in your room, you just consider your roofing as your or your ceiling as your resistance, and then the floor as your support. Why support? That is that area where you could get your groundings. When you stand there, nothing goes below again. So on our chart too, anytime we talk about support and resistance, we assume support and resistance just to be a very key important zones on a chart where buyers, where sellers couldn't push the price further. Mind you, buyers push the price up, sellers push the price down. So every chart that you open, it's either you are seeing buyers pushing the price up or sellers pushing the price down. You get it? So on a zone where buyers now sellers decide to push the price further, they push it down because they are tired of making more profit and now they want to sell all their assets. They keep pushing it further, just like what we saw yesterday. They keep pushing the price down, they keep pushing the price down. The last zone or the area where we could realize that during these zones the price has been going very low. During this zone, the price has been going very low. We choose to term that zone as what? As our support zone. This is very simple. So you might heard of support and resistance. Support and resistance. Support and resistance is just something so easy to understand, right? So you could realize that on a resistance zone, this was the highest zone of what? Of demand. And then on a resistance zone, this will be the highest zone of what? Of supply. Why? Because from this zone the price went up and then it came down at this zone and it couldn't go further again. So immediately, let me use this. So we have, let me use this. Good. So having it, as price continues to go up further, it goes down, it goes up further. You will realize that now the price begins to go down. Instead of it reaching to this point, it went down, it went further, right? So since the price couldn't remain stable on the previous candle, on the previous lines, we may choose to term the new zone as what? As our new support zone. So that is why sometimes we say that support and resistance, NB, support and resistance are not fixed zones on a chart. Take notice of that. Support and resistance are not fixed zones on a chart. Let me repeat. Support and resistance are not fixed zones on a chart. Why? Because always the very new zone where you respected this as your support zone could now become your resistance zone. You get it? So having respected a very new chart as your new support zone, so let's assume having this chart here, you may have your support, your resistance, your support. But immediately the price goes further, you spot this zone as your new support zone. This now becomes your resistance zone. You get it? That's the reason why in trading we say support and resistance are not fixed zones on a chart. Support and resistance are not fixed zone on a chart. Mind you, this area happens to be our support zone, and then this happens to be our resistance zone. But because the price it broke further and it came down, now we could spot this zone as our resistance zone, and then this zone as what? Sorry, this zone as our support zone, this zone as our resistance zone. Meanwhile, this happens to be formerly our support zone, and this happens to be the resistance. But this time, because the price broke further, now this place would have to be our new support zone and our new resistance zone. Give me one in the chat if you get it. Give me one in the chat if you get it. Give me one in the chat if you get it. Give me one in the chat. Let me know if you get it. Give me one in the chat and let me know if you get it. All right. Then I believe we can proceed. Very good. That is good. That is good. Let's proceed. Okay. So, uh, all right. Now, when it comes to support and resistance, since this is an introductory session, tomorrow, if God permits, we shall look at how to identify support and resistance, how to draw support and resistance. Right. Now, let's look at some few types of support and resistance on a chart. Let's look at few types of what support and resistance on a chart. So support and resistance may come in different categories. Okay, support and resistance may appear on a chart in different categories, and it has got different names on a chart, right? So I may just talk about two or three of them. Then I give you the opportunity for you to ask question if there is any before we bring the session to an end. Now, first type of support and resistance that mostly it's common, and that is what I'm even presenting here, has to do with, that is, we call it horizontal support and what resistance. Horizontal support and resistance. So just like this normal chart that we are using, when we talk of horizontal support and resistance, they are just like very flat zones. The flat zone that we've identified on the chart, we term it as horizontal support and resistance, right? So we know that this is our support zone, this is our resistance zone. So the very flat areas where you can easily spot out your support, your resistance, we term it as horizontal support and resistance. So let's say if we have a price on a chart, like let's talk about, let's say BTC is 90K. Okay, the price goes up. Always, when we know that when the price goes up to 90K, or let's say 96K, after the price goes up to 90K, it gets within the range of 94K. That is how it has been swinging up and down. So we already know that the highest price on a chart is 96, the lowest price on a chart is 94. So anytime we want to spot out support and resistance, we have a very fixed value. The price swings within 94, 96, and then 94. So we may choose to term that very key zones as horizontal support and resistance, because we've got a very fixed zone where the price mostly is unmovable. It swing within those values. So let's say let me use this. Okay, so if the price happens to be 96K at this point, then below is 94. When it continues to swing, it swings within the range of 96 to 94, which simply means our very key zone that we have to spot it out would fall within. Immediately the price breaks above 96, there is going to be a new support, or sorry, a new resistance being formed. So since the price keeps swinging within these zones, which is the 96 zone and then also the 94 zone, we have a very flat zones on a chart. So we choose to term that zone as our horizontal support and resistance. Please, do you get it? Do you get it? So if you want to study recent, you could realize that BTC has fall, it's working within a certain range, right? It's working within a certain range. Just take your time to study the range, and you could realize that it's forming within a same angle, that is horizontal support and resistance. There is certain limit that when it gets to it, it can't even go up again, then it gets down. There's a certain limit when it goes, it can't get further again, then it goes down. So studying this for some time, you could easily spot out the very zones as your horizontal support and resistance. Let me know if you get what I'm saying. You get it? Mind you, whatever we are discussing, if God permit, tomorrow we shall go on our trading view. We will open a chart how to draw support and resistance for beginner friendly, and also everyone can get that concept very clear. You get what we are discussing? Let me know if you get it. Let me know if you get it. Let me know if it's clear. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together? All right. All right. All right. I believe we are good to go. We are good to go. Mind you, this is just an introductory part of our lesson, right? This is an introductory part of what of our lesson. We are good to go. Okay. So we also have trend line support and what resistance. Trend line supports and resistance. So basically, let's assume we have a chart like this. Okay. So sometimes let me draw it well. Sometimes having the chart being drawn for every trader to understand it, you realize that instead of you going to this direction, how do I even clean it? Gosh, good. So very slanted or not on a chart. So when we talk of trend line support and resistance, it just follows the rule of how to draw a trend line on a chart, and we shall look at that in our lesson. So for them, they come in very slanted form, unlike the horizontal, which goes very straight on a horizontal, like a horizontal line. For these ones, they are very slanted. Okay. Sometimes you may look at a chart and you may observe the chart being drawn, the lines being drawn there. You may see slanted lines. I don't know if you've ever observed a chart like that. Maybe you've seen a screenshot of a chart online or anything. Yes, this is a slanted or trend line horizontal support and resistance. So instead of the chart being drawn, let's assume if this is it, we can spot the very support zones like this, like that. Instead of that, we rather go for a slanted support and what resistance. Okay, so that is what we mean by trend line support and resistance. And what again? Yeah, there are many, but I think two is okay. So we also have Fibonacci support and resistance, dynamic support and resistance, but yeah. So basically, support and resistance is not anything difficult. It's just a matter of understanding the very principles and how to draw them on a chart. So that is what we'll be looking at if God permit tomorrow. This is just an introductory part of our lesson on support and what resistance. How to understand the concept of support and resistance. Then, if God permit tomorrow, we shall open our chart. How to draw support and resistance on trading view. How to spot out support and resistance on a chart. So if you don't have trading view, please, Coach Mo has already led that class. That's the reason I don't want to go there. So if you don't have trading view, just do your best and do yourself a favor. Go and download your trading view app. So go and download your trading view app, and after downloading the trading view app, set it up and let's all start the lesson again. So if God permit tomorrow, we shall just get back here. We open our chat. We will get back here, open our chat, and then also discuss more on how to draw support and resistance. Okay, how to draw support and resistance. So please Let's take notice. Let me know if there is any question. Let me know if there is any question. Or let me know if there is any question. Mind you, today's session is just an introductory session, right? Mind you, if there is any question. Are we together? If there is any question, please ask. If there is any question, please ask. I just want to take the lesson step by step. If we use 30 minutes, 45 minutes for you to learn something meaningful and understand the concept, I believe that is more meaningful and it's very sensible as well. So please, if you have any question, please ask. If you have any question, ask. Oh, leadership. All right. So I have all my great leaders here. That is good. So please, if there is any question, ask. If there is any question, don't hesitate to ask. I'm waiting for your question. From what we've discussed so far, okay? From what we've discussed, if you have any question, you can feel free to ask. Mind you, after this session too, we have trade settlements, right? That may happen after an hour or 2 hours later. So please, you stay alert on the platform. Yeah, you stay alert on the platform. We will share all the information on the platform. We'll share the link there so that we join. That is trade settings. So when it's due, we should share the link with our team members who are new, who don't have much knowledge on how to set up trades so that they can also join and then learn. Also, not only trade settings, but also risk management. So please, let's all get prepared for that session. If there is no question, let me see. So someone's asking, sorry, my question is, I can trade futures with 15 time frame. I can trade futures with 15-minute time frame. Okay, so I believe we have to explain the time frames as well, right? Which is also part of our technical analysis, but not necessarily trading on a 15-minute time frame. Analyzing the market is less focused on just using the 15-minute time frame. It's about using an aligned time frames, not only 15-minute time frame, but working on a different time frames. Like maybe if depending on the type of trader you find yourself, maybe from 5 minutes, 10 minutes to 15 minutes time frame. That is if you are, let me say, a scalper. Yeah. So with your question on using the 15-minute time, please, you cannot only learn on the 15-minute time frame to make a decision. You cannot learn only on the 15-minute time frame to do or to make a decision. Hope I've helped you enough. Please, have I helped you enough? Though we aren't having any discussion on time frames yet, and I believe it's also part of our session, but not now. Okay. For now, we are talking about support and resistance. Please, have I been able to answer your question? You can't learn only on a 15-minute time frame to make a decision. Yeah. All right. So let me see. Okay. Is there any other question? Any other question? Is there any other question? Let me know. All right. So since there is no question, then I believe we will end here. If God permits, tomorrow is Tuesday, and we shall meet again. We shall look at how to draw support and resistance, and in fact, that is going to be more practical this year. Whatever you teach is going to be more practical. I will give you the opportunity for you to draw it, for me to observe, and see how you will be able to identify your support and resistance or not on a chart. So when you're coming tomorrow, make sure that you are well prepared, because I'll go through the chart and mention anyone's name unless you decide to tell me it's network issue. Yes, because we are online workers. Maybe you will tell me you didn't hear it's network issue, you can't hear anything. Well, so let's all get prepared. If God permits, tomorrow we are coming to learn how to draw support and resistance, how to identify support and resistance on a chart as part of your structural tool. And getting that information, you may be able to draw support and resistance on a chart, right? Using the different types of support and resistance, either it's a trend line support and resistance, horizontal support and resistance, or dynamic support and resistance, or maybe Fibonacci support and what resistance. So let's all get prepared. If God permits, tomorrow we shall meet again. Since there is no question, then I believe we can bring this morning session to an end. All right. So, in the absence of no question, we bring the session to an end. I wish you all the best and get prepared for the next session. Please get prepared for the next session. All right, and have a good day. Love you all. Bye.